audacious.
Do you think any of these items are worth these wild prices? And I promise I'll be quick. This unbranded dirty skirt literally needed a wash and they wanted 25 quid for it. This was a super basic misguided dress and I can find it for a third of the price on eBay. The fake gold paint had already flaked off this Temu looking belt that they wanted 30 quid for. This dress had already attended its own funeral sitting on the shelf at that price. No way is it going to sell.
So this is where all the overpriced stuff at the charity shop ends up, does it? This stall at the car boot was full of charity shop stock and it all had the original asking prices on it. And it's not a surprise that they didn't sell these items because the prices were crazy. £12 for a used plain M&S top. This white t-shirt had food stains on it and was £21. T-shirt from this brand recently sold brand new with tags on eBay for £3.50. Okay, weird fish is coming back in popularity, but this was £14 and it was missing the drawstrings on the hood. I am the biggest fan of charity shops, but this makes me really sad to see. If these items were priced more sensibly, I'm sure they could have sold. Well, maybe not the food stained top, but you get what I'm saying. A used Gap cardigan for £13. Clearly no one is paying this. Any guesses on how much a used Miss Selfridge's blazer is? £16. They haven't even tried to half price it or something like that. It's just gone straight to rags. Sadly, it's just another example that you don't really know where donations end up. Couldn't they have even just had a £1 bin and put all these items in there after a few weeks? Because they would have got pennies per kilo for all of this.
Have resellers ruined charity shops? The prices just keep going up, and it's because they're matching the prices to what the resellers are selling it for online. So it's just a never-ending cycle of overpriced stuff. I understand it's a cost of living crisis and they've got bills to pay, rent to pay, but somebody tell me what is going on with these prices because it's getting ridiculous now and I'm sure they're not selling at these prices.
On today's episode of I Think the Charity Shops Started to Get Greedy, I recently spotted this cake tin, which to be honest has seen better days. If you like a side of rust with your red velvet, it might be up your street, but for £2.50 it felt criminal. What also felt absolutely criminal was a used Ted Baker face balm for £4.99. I mean, how does anyone know it's face balm in there and not anything questionable? And this candle looks like it gave up a long time ago. I mean, it didn't even have a smell. So if you like candles that look like that and smell like disappointment, it might be worth the £1.49. I also spotted one shoe for £6, and I know what you're thinking, the other ones probably fell down somewhere, but I searched everywhere and nope, there was only one. These nappies are only 86p from Ocado, but £2 in the charity shop. I mean, please make it make sense. Just getting absolutely ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, I thought I'd seen it all, but then I spotted two Tesco value toothbrushes for £1. These are literally 25p from Tesco. And speaking of questionable items, what on earth is this? Because the top bit kind of freaking me out a little bit, and I'm not even sure the charity shop knew what it was, but they priced it at £3. I just can't help feeling sad because decent charity shops with decent prices are becoming less and less. More and more, like this one, are just shoving any old thing out regardless of the condition, slapping a massive price tag on it, and it just feels like complete greed and not the win-win it used to be. But let me know what you think.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, ugh. What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, ugh.
I thought you would all agree with me, but apparently I'm wrong. I get it, charities are raising money for good causes and they've got bills to pay like everybody else. But if they keep charging these ridiculous prices, nobody's going to pay them and then it's lose-lose for everybody. I know for a fact these sandals were sat on the shelf for weeks and I'm not surprised because they're £26 and covered in stains. Like, who is paying that?
Somebody tell me why charity shops are becoming so expensive. I am fully aware that we're in a cost of living crisis, I really get it. And I am someone who charity shops all the time. I go on Vinted, I have been charity shopping since I was tiny because my mum couldn't afford clothes and toys, so we went charity shopping. I got everything secondhand. I just don't understand why these charity shops are all of a sudden charging so much money and for items that aren't even that high quality. I just want to start the conversation. Has anyone else noticed this? Because from where I'm from Lincoln, and I have just noticed that the prices have been getting ridiculous. I went to my local Sue Ryder, which is at the top of Lincoln, and I looked at the menswear, the men's leather jackets. This was a faux leather jacket and it was cracked. The leather was cracked all over the shoulders, everywhere. guess how much they were charging for this jacket? £15. And it's just like, in what world is that acceptable? And I was also really disappointed because I went to the British Red Cross, which is the well-known Zara charity shop in Grantham, and I picked up this really cute Zara dress. Do you know how much this Zara dress was? It was £15. I get it. It's brand new with tags. I really get it. I took it home and it was faulty. The zip was completely bust. It's crazy. I cannot count the amount of times that I have gone into like the charity shops in Lincoln and I picked up a jumper and it's Primark or New Look and they're charging like £8 to £10 for a jumper that's literally like bubbled, or a t-shirt, and I'm just like, in what world is that okay? I do thrifting a lot if you watch my videos, so if you're into that then just follow me. Let me know down below what you think, because like I want to start this discussion and I want to compare different areas. So I'm from East Midlands area, like Lincolnshire, so I'd be really interested to know if anyone has noticed this in their areas. Food for thought.
It can't just be me that is sick of charity shops bumping up their prices. And I feel like it's just getting worse and worse. Why was this plain top £17 and a Forever 21 dress £35? I swear they're not even £35, no. Literally the whole point of the charity shop is that it's cheap and you can get a bargain. Not a bobbly old jumper for 17 quid.
Are charity shop prices getting a little bit ridiculous? I mean, I love charity shops and finding a bargain as much as the next person, but this is crazy. They're charging £45 for a Paul Smith jumper that I found on Vinted for a tenner, and this Puma sweat was £12. They even had a plain navy Zara hoodie for £12, and this Palace hoodie was £40. Also, I'm fully aware it's a charity and they want to raise as much money as possible, which I'm completely in support of. But are people really paying these prices? Maybe they are, and I'm completely wrong, but it's getting harder and harder to find a bargain in the charity shops. What do you think?
This basic pink crop top would literally have been cheaper to buy new. This is what I mean by audacious. Why is it only £2 cheaper than new? I don't care if this is a nice brand. With this many bubbles, it's a pyjama top. I don't know if anyone still wears these, but if you do, this is your sign to stop. These were someone's sweaty, stretched out leggings that looked like they came from a market. A basic denim jacket like this should not cost this much. Someone's nan out there is dying to have this dress, but she can't afford it.
This might be the world's most expensive charity shop.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
What's going on with UK charity shop prices? I just went to the one up my road. They were selling a used Primark hoodie for £20. That's double what it costs brand new. It used to be that I'd go into this shop and buy a dead man's entire spring capsule wardrobe for 20p, and now I'm getting credit checked to buy a Primark zip job. Slash the prices and we'll get back to supporting good causes.
The cheek of charity shops telling me to have a nice day and then trying to charge these prices. The prices have just gone crazy. I spy a blue box, £90 for a necklace. Who is going in here and spending £90 on a necklace? A bag of cars, £40. Yes, some of these can be worth money, but not in this condition and not these models. Imagine your kid running into a charity shop picking up that bag and then you seeing the price. A Zara blazer, yes, it's brand new with tags, but it's £50. Trainers tend to be overpriced, but £45 I can buy them new in box on eBay for less. And Sainsbury's fake leather jackets for £15 each when you can literally buy them on Vinted for like a £5. Where do they get these prices from? I just don't understand it. Is anyone paying this?
I heard the news this morning that a major charity shop chain is closing around half of their stores, and I can't say that I'm that surprised.
Obviously it's sad that any shop closes, let alone a charity shop. About 6 months ago I did a video where I mentioned I don't really buy much in Scope. I have 4 local ones, maybe your ones are better than mine, but overall the prices are high and the items aren't good. There is one exception to the rule though. We did find a Stone Island jacket in here for £15, but that was probably our last purchase and my husband's wearing shorts and flip-flops, so that was a long time ago. It seems like they kind of just have a set price price for everything. All jumpers are £5, no matter if they've got holes in them or if they're really cheap fashion brands, again with holes in them. That's the same price as a Whistles jumper. It just doesn't really make sense. Let's stick with it and see if we can find something. I did like this graphic jumper from M&S, that was also £5, but a very similar jumper from Primark was £1 more. They have said one of the reasons that the stores are closing is because of the competition of online marketplaces, but secondhand fashion has never been more popular. Charity shops should be packed, and they would be if they gave you a reason to come to stores, if the prices were lower than what you could get it for online. Anything with marks and holes should be like £1.50p. Anyway, back to the finds. I did really like this Zara bag. It was pretty unusual, but the condition wasn't all that great. It was still £8.50. Again, if this was in the charity shop next door, this would be like £4 or £5 max. But then I saw it. A vintage horse jacket for £6.50. Might not be your style, but I've had a similar jacket on my Vinted for ages and it was 60 quid and it sold before payday. So it's not all negative. I did find a couple of bits to buy today, but I just hope that with some scopes closing, that other charity shops maybe take a look at their pricing. With the amount of clothing on the planet, can't we stack them high and sell them cheap?
Okay, I'm sorry, but if I'm going to a charity shop and then if I go 3-4 weeks later and those same items I rummaged past are still there at £9, £10 for an M&S old top, then you need to drop your prices. Remember, there was a time where they used to have banners outside a charity shop saying, we're low on stock, we need things, like, we're selling it too quickly. But you'd think with the excess stock they're having to turn it away. The amount of times they've gone, no, I don't want it, we're not going to take it. Make it cheaper. Get it out the door. Go on by me. They'll every quarter have a sale. They make everything half price. Guess what? They're like, we're busier than ever. We can't believe how much we're selling. That's because it's at a price that people want to buy it at. Like, people got Vinted now, so they don't really need to rummage. If I need to go and find a red dress, I can go and buy one in 2 minutes. To me, you're letting your customers down. Personally, the idea of charity shops has been to have an affordable option so that when you do need to get an interview outfit, if you need to get your kids something new, you're not paying the same as it would be in the shop anyway. The amount of times I've gone to check the price for something and someone's left the tag on it, it was 30 quid, so you've put it at 15. I don't want to pay £15 for someone's secondhand things, even if it's still got the tag on. I want to go in and feel like I can buy a few things and it not be really expensive, because it's too much. I get they have rent, overheads, wages. I understand that, but to combat it, they need to drop their prices. I think as a consumer, they need to do it, and as a business model, it's not working. So if you are from the charities, drop your prices. It's doing my head in.
I watched a video on here which has led me to want to have this conversation. I've had it before, but not really gone into super depth because I know a lot of people have different opinions on this and it can be quite divisive. So I was watching a young lady who had a collab in America with Goodwill. Now, she'd walked into a Goodwill. I think this is how it went. Somebody can correct me if they've seen it, but roughly there was another lady in there and she was upset and crying because she was trying her hardest to find something affordable for an event that she was going to, and she couldn't buy the item that she wanted because it was $30 in Goodwill. This then led to this creator speaking about it. She was very transparent, and this then led to Goodwill breaking their collab with her because she questioned why things are so expensive now in their thrift stores. Now, you might know that I work for a charity shop. We don't work in that way. But the problem with charity shops being expensive, there's a few problems which she pointed out, and I'm also going to point out. So my thought process is, yes, charity shops need to raise money for their charity. Of course they do. But I wholeheartedly agree with what the young lady was saying, in the fact that as well as supporting the charity that they're there for, they also should support the community that they are in, that are spending money in their shops. And that means making it accessible, and that has become a problem with a lot of charity shops. Way back when charity shops first came about, they were there to provide a service for people who possibly had a hard life, didn't have the income, for whatever reason. It really doesn't matter, but anybody who needed a charity shop to buy clothing for themselves or them children, it was the go-to place. It was accessible. It wasn't trendy. That wasn't something that it was. In fact, I recall being at school, and if you were somebody whose mum got you things from the charity shop, you'd get bullied for that. It was nothing that anybody really wanted to speak about. And so those charity shops, their income for their charities came from the people who were in need in their community, who needed that service. Fast forward, and it's now a whole different picture for a lot of charity shops. My charity shop doesn't have the price branding, so this is one of the problems. You walk into a charity shop, you see the price, it can be like 15 quid for a neck dress or whatever. That's price bracketing or price branding from up above. It's not the problem. It is a problem for the shop assistant because they get it in the neck. They're the person that you see. You're asking, why is this so expensive? But they have brackets of brands, and that brand has to come under a certain price. And that's why it's priced like it is. It's not down to them. It's down to the list that they get sent, and they have to price it accordingly. I think this shouldn't be a thing. I think the people working in the shop have enough about them that they can create their own price branding. I know that if in my charity shop we had price branding and we priced the items at some of the prices, some do, it wouldn't sell. We don't price something at 20 quid just because it came from Zara. We price it for condition, you know, how big it is. A coat might cost a little bit more than a t-shirt might, but overall, generally, our items are like between £3 and £5. You occasionally might get something at 7 quid or even a tenner if it's like worth, I don't know, a couple of £100. We want a turnover. We want that stuff gone, and the things that are donated need to be in and out. And the money that is provided then goes to the charity, and also this works for the community because there are people walking in who can't afford more than £3 for an item. There's also the sustainability aspect of it. Surely charities have a responsibility to be sustainable, to encourage people to shop in charity shops rather than on websites like Shein and Temu, which is where people go to when they can't afford what's in a charity shop. And the fact that we say those things together, I can't afford what's in the charity shop, it sort of just blows my mind. Every single charity works differently. I get that. Mine is very community focused. So we are very aware that the people who come in, you know, want to pay a certain price. We're aware of what they want to buy. Money is like focused on the community. And I feel really sad that like in America where there's a girl trying to have a platform to shout about sustainable fashion, charity shopping, thrifting, that's somewhere like Goodwill have taken it upon themselves to not have a conversation about the fact that the prices are what they are, but to actually basically just cut her off because they don't want to talk about it or reassess how they're pricing things. I think there's definitely charity shops that need to reassess that because it is getting quite out of hand. I don't have an issue with resellers. I think there's enough fashion on this planet to go around God knows how many times. We are never going to run out of clothing, but it's the charities that have latched onto the resellers and upped the prices accordingly because they know that people will pay that bit more, and it's a little bit unfair. There's lots of aspects and angles to this. We've all got different takes on it. Nobody's fully right or wrong, and it's quite the discussion. You know, we get a lot of the, you know, how much is the CEO being paid, how much are the top dogs being paid, all that kind of thing. How much you're paying for your rent is why the clothing's gone up. You know, you've got to pay your staff, etc, etc, etc. So there's loads of angles to this, but I do think some responsibility lies with charities to make their shops accessible to their community that they're in. Anyway, yeah, you can tell me what you think. I know that was quite a long one, but I don't often go into this discussion because I know where it can lead, and I don't want like derisive, is that the right word? Like negativity flowing through my account, people arguing in comments. I don't want any of that. Just a gentle discussion is fine with me because I understand different points of view.
Have you been wondering why charity shop prices have gone up? Because I know I have recently. After speaking to some charity shop managers and doing some research, I found that the reasons are so much deeper than I originally thought. So here's what's happening behind the scenes that I personally didn't know about. Charity shop managers are under an increasing amount of pressure to bring in more money. So higher targets is always going to equal higher prices. The rising cost in rent, utilities and waste disposal has shot up for everyone. Not just other retailers. Charity shops are very much included in this. So they're having to price higher just to stay open. Stock shortages and demand. You see all those bags of things left outside charity shops and all the immense amounts of donations that they're getting. What I've learned is not all of that is saleable. Some of that is just crap that people can't be bothered to dispose of on their own. I don't know the exact percentages of what is saleable, but it's definitely not everything that you see. And shops are pricing based on trend rather than taking just random guesses at something's value. Not every charity shop is run purely by volunteers. Some have to take on paid staff. So that's going to raise the cost as well. Fashion dumping, my biggest bugbear. More and more people are donating lower quality, fast fashion items, which don't last as long, they don't make as much money. So that means both the volunteers and the paid workers have to spend more time filtering through their stock to find what is saleable, which will drive up processing costs. So what do you think about all of this? Do you have more to add to it? I'm very new to kind of looking into and understanding exactly how things work behind the scenes, and I would love to know more.